New this morning at 6:01, a man is at UNM Hospital this morning after being thrown out of his car during a crash early this morning. It happened just before 3 o'clock a few hours ago. This is at Ladera and Sequoia Northwest. Now, the last we heard, both north and southbound Ladera are still closed. Your best bet to avoid this area is to take a course. Now, right now, investigators aren't saying exactly how the man is doing, how he is, or what caused the crash. And as soon as we learn more, we will pass it along to you. And now developing, the situation in Syria appears to be diffused at least a little bit this morning. This just in, Syria's prime minister has accepted Russia's plan to surrender control of that country's chemical weapons. President Obama was set to lay out his case to the American people tonight and to Capitol Hill again today for a U.S. military strike in Syria. But with the announcement of this diplomatic solution, it appears unnecessary, or at least it could be. Now, Russia floated the idea of Syria turning over all of its chemical weapons to the international community to avoid a military strike. Syria's foreign minister accepted that just within the last 15 or 20 minutes this morning, though skeptical. President Obama had called it a potentially significant breakthrough that could head off the threats of U.S. airstrikes, which the president says is overwhelmingly his preference. Now, Senate Majority Leader has delayed a test vote on the resolution planned for today. He says he wants to work with Republicans to avoid a filibuster. Now, the numbers you're seeing on the screen are interesting. They're from CBS News. It's a tally of House members showing 189 representatives plan to vote no or leaning that way, and just 33 are voting or leaning toward a yes. Now, the numbers are closer in the Senate. There are 26 voting or leaning no, with 28 voting or leaning yes. Again, those numbers were taken yesterday before Syria had agreed to give up its chemical weapons. All right, 6:03 now. Much more on Syria coming up in about a half hour. Back here in Albuquerque, a new proposal aims to cut down on congestion and parking problems in a key 5-mile stretch of the Duke City. That stretch goes from University and Manal all the way south to the Sunport. In between are UNM Hospital, the main campuses for UNM and CNM, and Albuquerque's main stadiums. Right now, as you probably know, that area lacks a continuous north-south route connecting it together. A draft plan from the Mid-Region Council of Governments proposes a bus rapid transit line, a bus route dedicated to lanes to allow buses to get through that area more quickly, a series of park and ride lots that would help cut down on parking problems for UNM and CNM. The $60 million route would go south on University to the stadiums before heading down Yale to the Sunport. The hope for federal funding would pay for a heck of a lot of this.
The vision is better access for everybody. Whether you live in the area or you work in the area, the access will be much better and much more convenient.
Now, if you recall, this proposal sounds a lot like a bus rapid transit line that Mayor R.J. Berry wants to run all along Central through Albuquerque. That would also cost at least $65 million, possibly even more. Both of these plans could take about 4 or 5 years to get done. That is, if, a big if, the money goes through. Now, to give your input on the proposal, you can go ahead and do that today and actually all this week. There are 3 meetings. The first goes from noon to 1 at the UNM Student Union Building. That's Lobo Room A and B. Then tomorrow from noon to 1 at the CNM Student Resource Center. Then Thursday from 6 to 8 at the Loma Linda Community Center. Happening now at 6:04, it started as a way to inspire better grades, but now the parking rules at a high school in Rio Rancho are coming with a price that have parents very concerned. News 13's Samantha McDonald is live across from Cleveland High School. So Sam, what's going on with parking here? We know it's very important for high school kids.
Definitely, Matt. I see a bunch of people pulling in right now. I'm in the student parking lot, but just across the street every day, 20 to 30 students park there. But starting today, they will receive a hefty fine. It's all about safety and grades. So students are only allowed to park here in the student lot if they maintain a GPA of 2.0 or higher and buy a permit for $30. The ones who don't make the GPA cut have been taking the bus or parking across the street. School officials tell me they've always been worried that crossing the street to get to school is a huge safety risk because of all of that heavy morning traffic. The concern was recently brought to the attention of state police, who agreed with the New Mexico Land Commission to take swift action. The warning signs went up last week, and today the warnings went on the cars. Or yesterday, I'm sorry. And now anyone who parks here will receive a fine of over $90. So one parent tells me she thinks her son should be able to park on campus no matter what his GPA. She says the restriction is not only inconvenient, but it's also discouraging. School officials, on the other hand, they tell me that parking on campus is a privilege. They say they want kids to be motivated to get better grades and avoid accidents on the street.
If the word gets out that there are other options to come to school, and even if the word gets out that, hey, I do need to have a 2.0 to be able to park on, then I think all of those are positive outcomes.
One thing to make things safer is to make a crosswalk out there. That's an idea that both school officials and parents told me. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Samantha. One parent we talked with says she is disappointed in the school system because education should come first. In her opinion, it shouldn't be about sending kids warning notices on their cars and trucks. Cleveland High School, so you know, is not the first school in the area to allow students to park on campus depending on their grades. Rio Rancho High School does the same. You think it might be a motivator for students 2.0. All right. Well, dozens of grocery store workers are finding themselves out of a job this morning after being surprised as their store closed up shop yesterday. A sign letting people know the John Brooks store here on San Mateo and Zuni is now closed. Unfortunately, greeted customers and workers yesterday morning. It's probably going to be up there again today. The company says all the workers had to be laid off because the store never bounced back after the recession.
It's just kind of shocking because myself, I would have liked to have had a little bit of notice.
Now, the workers union president says he's negotiating for severance pay for the about 35 workers who were affected. There's still 2 other John Brooks stores in Albuquerque. Right now, at least, doesn't look like they have any plans to close. Unfortunate situation there. Another victim of the recession.